I hate having to do stuff like this, because with modern cars you never know what you're going to damage. All these tiny little wires. Well, today's a bit of an experiment. By that I mean I'm going to service my Jaguar XF. Now, to explain a little bit, this car is my daily car, and I've had it 4 years, 2021, bought February 2021. It's a 3 litre V6 diesel. It's the S version, so it's 275 brake horse, and it's a luxury car for cheap money, because most Jags are. I use it every day. I use it to go to work, I use it to do all sorts of things, and I rely on this car to be reliable. And because of that, I've always taken it to Jaguar specialists to be serviced and maintained. Basically because I'm pretty old school, and a lot of modern cars are becoming increasingly more difficult to service and maintain. You need special tools, you need ramps, you need all sorts of things. I mean, just to change the alternator on this, you've got to drop the engine a little bit to get the alternator out. That's no good if you're crawling around on the floor, don't have a ramp, and you're getting old like I am. I don't want to labour that point, by the way, but it is true that you spend all your life scrabbling around underneath cars or fixing stuff, and the older you get, the harder it gets. So what I've always done with this car is I've always taken it to the specialist, believing that actually, you know, I can't do without the car effectively, and then I know I can book it in with them. They'll get it done. I can drop it in the morning. I even wait for it sometimes, and they'll do it. And when it comes to repairs, unless it's emergency, and I think it's let me down only twice in 4 years. One was a crank sensor, and I think the other one was alternator problem. Every other time I managed to book it in at my convenience, get it serviced, get it maintained, get the repairs done, and I know that I can pick it up at the end of the day, and I haven't busted my arse trying to fix it myself on a weekend, working around work and all of that stuff. But times are changing a little bit. It's now 12 years old, 13-year-old car. It's a 2012 car, as you can see, 62 plate. And I've decided that I'm going to see exactly how hard is it to do a service on this car, and how much it costs me. I know how much it costs me in the garage, and I'm interested to see if I can actually save any money and how easy it actually is to do. So let's see how we get on. Let's have a go. So 62 plate XFS 3 litre V6 diesel. It's done 160,000 miles, just short of 160,000 miles, and I've had it serviced. Works out about once a year, or every 9 or 10 months, something like that. So it's still once a year, but it's not on the 12-month rotation. Based on the mileage I'm doing around about 15,000 a year, something like that. And I service it, or I get it serviced at least once a year. That's how it works out. It's due for a B service, and I understand that a B service is engine oil filter, pollen filter, air filter, and fuel filter. And this little lot cost me just short of £71. None of that is trade, that is over the counter. I get most of my parts from Autodoc online, and they seem to do the best deal. I've sort of given up really with going to GSF and Eurocar parts. You get discounts, but you have to go and get it unless it's not convenient to do it any other way. And then I'll get it ordered and it gets sent to me, and I just wait for it to turn up, unless I'm desperate for something, and then I'll go and get it. But of course, when you do a service, it's planned in anyway, so I basically go online, order the parts off Autodoc. They turn up on the doorstep. They do take a little bit longer. They're not always next day. It does tend to come, I'm not sure if they come from overseas, like in Europe somewhere, but this little lot took about 4 days to come.
Engine oil itself,
not a problem, because I know it's coming.
5W30 Jaguar specification, or Jaguar and Ford specification, and 5 litres of this cost me $39.99, and this was from Amazon. It cost, I got 2 of these because it's 6.6 litres I think the engine takes, so I've got 2 of these, and it cost me about £3 to have it sent by Amazon. and this oil will also go in the XK as well, so I'll order another can of this because I think the XK V8 takes 7 litres when I do the service on that. So that's pretty much all we're going to use today, and our service basically is change the fluids in the engine, change the filters that we can see here, and just basically check through the car itself, and that's what a B service consists of. There's two ways of dropping the oil on an XF 3 litre diesel V6. The way the dealers do it, and most people do it, is they suck it out of this little pipe here. If I undo that, people think that's a dipstick, and I'll be honest, when I first got this car I thought that was a dipstick as well. I am a bit old school when it comes to oil. I do like a dipstick. With a dipstick you can instantly check your level of oil. You can instantly look at the condition of the oil, you can smell it, you can feel it, you can see the colour of it. But nowadays, of course, they've done away with dipsticks because they don't want you to do it yourself. They want you to send it to the garage and have it done, because in theory you need a special tool to change the oil. And that special tool is this thing here, an oil sucker. And I'll tell you now, I absolutely hate these things. There is no substitution, in my opinion, to draining the oil fully with gravity and vacuum when you open the sump plug on the bottom of an engine. With an oil sucker you can never ever guarantee getting all the oil out, and not just the oil but all the sediment that sits in that oil. Now these engines are notorious, if not serviced often enough, certainly to specification, and in some cases I think people over service them just to make sure, but they are notorious in spinning bearings. If you don't change the oil on the right recommendations to the manufacturer and you leave it too long, or you don't change it at all, you will end up with a knackered engine. Simple as that. And I think that's made worse by the fact that most of these cars, and especially modern cars now, most of them have the oil sucked out rather than drained out. There is no substitution for it, in my opinion. I've been doing it 50 years. Drain the oil, let it drain on a level surface. It's the lowest part of the engine. You know that you're going to get all of the muck and the crud and the old oil out of the engine. Now there's lots of videos online, I've watched all of them. Yes, I've done it with the sucker, and then I've decided I'll see how much is left in the sump pan, and I've got even half a teaspoon out of the bottom of the sump plug, or half a cup. Well, let me tell you, half a cup of oil can harbour an awful lot of iron filings and aluminium filings out of the engine. So as I say, I am going to do it the old-fashioned way. Now there is no dipstick on this, so there is an oil sensor in the pan, and we'll come on to that later on. And you can probably see that I've taken the top cover off, because right in the centre of the engine you've got your oil filter, which is a screw-off canister or a screw-off cover with a paper filter inside, and that's what we're going to do. But of course the problem with getting the oil pan sump plug out is there's an undertray, and this undertray, if it's not been off very often, and it's likely not to have been if it's always been serviced with an oil sucker, you're never going to get the damn thing off, because look at the length of these bolts. Why manufacturers do this is beyond me. Why do you need a bolt that's 1.5 inches long to do a 5mm job, as in a 5mm long job? Why do you need a bolt that sticks 3/4 of an inch out the other side of the nut? Because all that's going to do is rust, and guess what, when you want to take it off, it will not come undone. We've got 4 of these bolts at the back, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've not filmed it because I'm not very far off the floor on this, because of course so there's not much room. And then towards the front I've got 2 nuts, which again have got loads of thread on that are showing through the nut, and all they're going to do is rust. And then at the front there should be 2 more nuts, but because this has been off and on and off and the front ones have rusted, what's happened is that somebody has put some self-tappers in through to the plastic, and the front one screws onto an under tray on the nose, which you don't need to take off. And if you try and take it off and it hasn't been off, all you'll do is shear off the screws, because they rarely come off. And the screws are sheared on this one. I think 2 or 3 screws are sheared on this one, on the nose, on the under tray. So I'm not going to take any more of those off, because I'm going to have no under tray on the front of the car. I'm going to leave that. Need to get some fixings for that probably and do that another time, but that's how it is. But I've got the under tray off, and once it's off, then we can see the bottom of the engine and the gearbox. So before I put it back on the deck and get it down on level ground, because I'm going to drain it, here is the front of the engine. I'm up on the jack stand at the minute. I've got an axle stand there. Here's the front of the engine. Here is the sump plug, which we're going to undo and drop the oil from there. Now it's a little bit wet around that. In other words, it's not dripping, but it is a little moist. So I've got to double check that whatever's sealing that is not damaged too much when I get it off. These are the nuts here. These are the threads here that the nuts go onto. See how long they are? You've got maybe 4 mil of, probably not even that, 3 mil of under tray. You've got a nut, and then you've got the bit that sticks out the bottom. All it's going to ever do is rust. And then right underneath there on the pan there, this bit here, this is your oil sensor, and that's the bit that tells what level of oil you've got. So I'm going to get it down on the ground and get the oil out. I'm going to run it for a little while. It has had about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour's run to get to where I am. So it's nice and warm. If you actually feel it, it's cooling down on the engine sump. So I'm just going to run it for 5 minutes or so just to get the temperature back up and get everything ready to drain out the oil. Now I'm going to open the oil filler cap to allow every opportunity for it to drain. As the oil drains out at the bottom, air will get sucked into the oil filler at a great rate of knots, hopefully, and draw out everything that is in the oil pan very quickly. Getting all over your fingers, which is another downside of doing this, because engine oil is carcinogenic. I never used to wear gloves, probably explained that once before. Still hate wearing gloves actually. And here it all comes. But we'll just let that drain off for a little while, and we'll let it do its stuff. It doesn't feel too gritty. It's nice and black, which is what you expect in a diesel. It doesn't take long for engine oil to go black in a diesel. I've got a big enough pan which goes nicely under there. And really the only downside of doing this right now this way is I'm laying on the floor. There's not much room, and I'm outside. And it's spring, so it's lovely and warm at the moment because we're having fantastic weather in the UK. But you wouldn't want to be doing this in the winter, particularly in the pouring rain. So that is one downside of doing it this way. So we'll let that drain out. That's going to take a few minutes just to drain off. And I know now that I've got I'm going to have all of the sediment out of there. And that is going to be as clean as it can be. So while the oil is draining out the sump, I'm going to undo the oil filter and just give that a little bit of an opportunity to drain down as well. I mean, it should have drained down. It's a vertical oil filter on top of the engine, so as soon as you stop the engine and oil stops pumping around the system, then your oil is going to drain back down into the sump pretty much straight away. Just a case of unscrewing it until it comes out. And you're going to get a few drips. Just get it past. There we go. So the old filter should, in theory, just pull out of the canister, and it is a little bit tricky to get it out, but you've just got to get it over the O-ring or the sealer, which is at the one end, and there you go. It comes out just like that. There's nothing securing it at all other than the little clip. I'm going to stick that on there. There's a little bit of residual oil in the bottom which I'm going to drain away. In the middle there we've got like a little plastic filter mesh, not very fine, it's just to reinforce the filter I believe. And I think that there is probably going to be some kind of pressure relief valve at the bottom there, something with a spring on it at the bottom there. So that's make sure that's all intact, it's not coming out, doesn't pull out or anything, so happy with that. And just give it a wipe round inside. So the oil filter kit comes with a new O-ring for the canister. That goes around this rim here.
seals the canister when it's back in. And always change it, because the last thing you want it to do is be leaking oil. It's always good practice to do that, even though if you think it might be perfectly usable, you may as well do it. You're in the position to do it right now. Get it done. And new one in. We're going to lubricate it with some clean engine oil, just to give it every chance of sealing, and also every chance of going back on again, or coming back. We're going to lubricate it with some clean engine oil to give it every chance of sealing, but also every chance of coming off again when you want to undo it next time around. If you put them on dry, they tend to grab and snag and they don't come off very well. I think that the Newton meter setting, the torque setting for this is about 25 Newton meters, something like that, so it's not very high. Remember, it's plastic threaded, it's a plastic canister, it's a plastic housing. You don't want to be going mad with tightness. The O-ring should do its job. It's a nice thick fat O-ring. The O-ring should do its job without being over tightened. Right, let's get the filter back in. Now, I don't think, looking at the filter, I don't think that there is an upside and a downside. The filter that came out had all the writing on the bottom. In other words, it went in that way, because there's the writing on there, and it went into the canister that way in. So that's how I'm going to put it, but they look identical at each end. I don't think there's any issues on that side of things. So we'll stick that in. And you push it down until it stops and it's in. And it's as simple as that. I've had a mop around inside there, and now it's just a case of putting the filter back in. Get it past the cables, or the pipes I should say, and somewhere in there, just a case of pick up the threads, and then you'll start to feel it going down onto the O-ring. And I'm going to give it a patented, measured 2 grunts and a squeak. And it's actually written on the top of the filter canister, 25 plus 5 Newton meters. I'm not entirely sure what that means, whether that means 25 and then another 5 when it's warmed up, or whether that's 25 plus or minus 5. Not really sure, but I have squeaked it down and I'm happy that it's tight enough for what I need. If it's leaking, I don't think it's going to come loose, that's for sure, but if it's leaking, it shouldn't be. There's something wrong with the O-ring. But I'm happy with that. I'm going to keep it that way. Now the Sump Plug itself has got an inbuilt O-ring. It's actually, in fact, a square section O-ring which is inside the flange of the plug. So you're not going to be able to change that O-ring on its own. It's going to be a new Sump Plug. Plus as well, this is not a magnetic type. It's got a nice long thread on it and a blank at the end, which you think might be magnetic, but it's definitely not. So it's not going to pick up any swarf in that, or filings or anything that's likely to stick to it. But given the fact that it's an aluminium engine, they're not going to stick anyway. So you're not going to get very many filings stick to that, whatever happens. So that's quite likely it's why it's actually not non-magnetic, because it wouldn't be any use. So we'll just give that a wipe round on the. I've also put some Vaseline on the O-ring just to give it extra help sealing. Because I haven't got a new one. I didn't buy a new one, and I rarely do actually, because I see little point. I mean, people argue that's what you should do and you should put a new one on every time, and I suspect that this one hasn't been off since it was new. I mean, I have never serviced this car, so I've never taken Sump Plug out. I don't know who had it before me, what they did with it, but certainly every time it's been serviced at my specialist place, they've sucked the oil. And yeah, I know that this hasn't been off. So why do you need to change the Sump Plug every time it comes off? It's just pointless. It's just another excuse to make money. And it's a bit of waste as well. So it's going back as it is. I'm not going to fanny about putting a new one on. This one's going back with some Vaseline. It's all nice and clean. Let's get it in. Now, it was a little bit weepy because it was a little bit damp around the plug, so I'm going to give it an extra tweak. It wasn't that tight coming off, so I'm just going to be gentle. I mean, I'm not going to go mad, but I'm just going to give it a tweak and then a bit, and we'll watch it later on. Make sure when we put the oil in it, it doesn't come out when the engine's running. You notice that the sump plug itself, or the sump pan, has got a bulge here,
which is going to allow any oil that's coming down from the top of the engine, it's going to run along the bottom of the sump pan and it's going to run into this little bulge. You just got to hope that what's in suspension in the oil when you've run it is going to come out with it, and it's going to have all picked up and got mashed around inside, which is another reason for running the engine just before you empty it, just to get it hot, but also to get all of that muck and crud that's in that oil, get that out of there, get it into suspension in the oil, and then when you drop the oil, it all comes out with the oil. I'm happy that that's good enough. I'm happy there. Now what remains now is just to fill up the oil into the engine in, obviously, the proper place. Don't be putting it in the, and it has been done, don't get me wrong, but don't be putting it in the coolant. There is your cap. It's got an oil can on the top and it says recommended SAE 5W30 and look in the handbook. Got Castrol written on the cap as well, which presumably would have been Jaguar's oil of choice when the engine was built, which is fine. I'm using Shell Helix 5W30AF, which is what is specified for this car. I'm happy to use that. That's what has been used in the past. And I believe that the full capacity is 6.6 litres when changing and when doing an oil change. But if it's a dry fill, in other words, you have got an engine which has been completely rebuilt and stripped down, then you're going to put in another litre, so 7.7 litres on top of that. Now we can only check the oil when the oil sensor can see it, so let's get it in. And this is a 5 litre can, so I'm going to put all of this in. Despite appearances, the funnel is nice and clean inside. It might look a bit grubby on the outside, but I've just spent 5 minutes cleaning the funnel to make sure no debris can get into the engine, because it is absolutely imperative that you don't get any crap into this engine at all. Be as clean as you possibly can. Take your time and do it properly. Okay, so I've switched the ignition on, and hopefully if I scroll with the left hand stalk, the trip button, we should level okay. So that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. And that's gone straight in, so that sensor is picking up that straight away. So if we start it up, and then we'll see where we go from there. In fact, it's going up all the time. In fact, I don't think I'm going to put any more in, because the worst thing you can do is overfill it, and you will of course be getting some draining down from the top through the rockers, down through past the cylinder head, back into the sump. So we might benefit from perhaps a driddle, but I think in this case best left alone. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it, and then we'll let it settle and see what it is after it's run and then settled. So while I'm waiting for the oil to settle down in the engine and check it for the last time, I'm just going to swap out the air filter. I believe it's fairly straightforward. This is the air filter box here, and it's basically 2 plastic clips. Clip those back and the whole thing should just hinge up. Unless of course there's some plastic clips at the back. These things are never as straightforward as you first might think. Why would they be? There's a couple of hinges at the back which you've got to force it, well, I say force it, you've got to coax it past. I don't know why they didn't just put a couple of plastic clips like they've done at the front. It's just crazy designs. Don't know if you can see down there, but you've got on the corner there, just on the end of my finger, there's a little tab. There's 4 of those tabs, and they basically clip into the rim, or push into the rim of the air cleaner box, and there's the air cleaner underneath, the filter element itself. And once you've got the cover off, it should be just a simple operation taking the old one out. Oh my goodness, this one has got loads of horrible crap in it. Oh my god. That is, wow, look at the state of that. When was that last changed? My god, that was well overdue. Jeez. That is shock. I'm absolutely shocked, actually. What am I paying for? I better check when that was last done. That was, well, it's B service, so that would have been 2 years ago, perhaps. 18 months, maybe. I'll check that. That is absolutely filthy. That's well overdue for change. Which means the airbox is also full of crap as well. There's bits of feathers, there's bits of insect, there's bits of straw. There's all sorts of crap in there. That's going in the bin. I think I need my Hoover. You can clearly tell if you haven't got an air filter in your filter box how much damage all that muck is going to do to your engine. Get it seated down properly, otherwise if it goes in wrong and you get a hole, it will suck air, especially when it's bombing up the motorway at 3,000 or 4,000 revs. It will suck any air it can in the easiest possible way it can find. So make sure your air cleaner is properly sealed. And it looks like it's going to be a right pain in the arse to get back together. I suppose someone's going to write in and tell me I should have taken it off of the airflow meter. Maybe. People that have done this before. I've never done this before, so if you're going to comment on what I'm doing, be gentle. There's not a huge amount in the book. There's a few videos out there. There's quite a lot of videos out there, to be fair, on how to do it, which I've watched, but I haven't actually watched the air cleaner one because I thought actually it'd be pretty straightforward. But as with all of these things, they're not always as straightforward as they might look, and this is proving to be the same. Well, it looks like you have to take the whole filter box out of the car. There's a bolt at this end near the front wing, and then it sits in a spigot in the bottom of the chassis on the cross member there, on the chassis leg, sorry. So you can get it apart, so you can then manipulate the airbox itself around. Or actually, let me take it out of its pipes. If I take it out of its pipes. So there's the airflow sensor here, and there's one on the other side. There's two of these. And I hate having to do stuff like this, because with modern cars, you never know what you're going to damage. All these tiny little wires, and then basically what you've got to do is disconnect the whole thing from the car, like that. Out it comes, just like that. Make sure it's seated back in so it doesn't catch on the edge and make a hole. And then you basically put the, I don't know if you can see, I'm not making a very good bit of a mess of this, but because I'm bloody well frustrated, but you can see there's some hooks there and some tabs, and they hook in the edge of the back edge of the filter box. I was damn lucky to get it off by the look of it, but then I probably forced it a bit. And you just basically hook it in like that, and then clip it down. And it being new, it's going to be tight. Let me just put that back in. Actually, let me just clip it in first. Oh, even clipping it in's hard. Oh dear oh Lord. Hope you're learning something, because I certainly am. Let's put the hoses back in the intakes. And of course, all the while you're doing this, all the crap that's on the outside of the hoses is going down the intake pipes. Crikey. These people go to university, you know. That's half the flaming problem a lot of the time. Not that I'm anti-university. My son and daughters have all gone to university. But my God, this is what they learn at university. Get them out in the real world, learn how it really works. And what us poor lowly mechanics have to put up with to try and fix this stuff. Oh dear, I'm having a bit of a rant. God, this is ridiculous. That should be done with your fingers. That is mad. Utterly mad. Oh, now I've got to get the hose, induction hose back on the trumpets there. There you go. Right, we're back in. Oh my God. Just put a bit of grease on the securing bolt. And then that won't be, because if that shears off or that doesn't come undone, that is in a world of pain to get that out of there, that bolt. So right, now we can redo or do up the Jubilee clips for the intakes. In fact, I'm going to put a bit of WD-40 on these, give them a bit of a chance. Right, let's get it down. And then we'll check the oil level, because that must be at least 20 minutes since I started doing this. Simple on every other car I've ever done is just to unclip the airbox, put the oil filter in, clip the damn thing back up again. Never had to take it out of the car. Oh dear, oh dear. Still, I shall know for next time. Rant over, it's done. Let's just hope everything works. I hope I don't get an air mass flow sensor fault now. Now I've had it all apart. I've not unplugged them or anything, but I've been moving the wires around, and it always scares me when I work on these things, and I'm thinking, am I going to get any kind of fault code having disturbed stuff? Because if you disturb stuff on these cars, you know, sometimes it can be a right pain in the neck. But let's hope it's done. We're all back in. Right, we'll check the oil level, and then it's fuel filter. Let's hope that's nowhere near as difficult as the air filter. So the fuel filter is the silver canister over on the left hand side of the engine bay, just basically mounted on the front left hand strut. We've got 4 quick release pipes on the top, and you must not get these wrong. On the side there is a Torx screw, which basically is a clamp, which I presume we loosen. I'm going to take it right out so it doesn't cause us too many issues. Do not lose it. And the whole thing should be free. Yes, it's free to come out. So, and the whole thing can come out. Now the bottom there is a water switch, or a sediment switch I should say, which basically monitors any water or sediment that's in the bottom of the filter, and you need to screw that out. So we need to get the whole thing off. So we've got to get the top ones off, get them out, a little screwdriver to manipulate the clips. Actually, I think I'll probably give it a suck with the vacuum just to get any dust and dirt off the top. This is our new filter. It's got some red caps and some yellow caps and some arrows on the top. Now if you look at it here, on the top of the filter, they are in a Y shape. So it's upside down at the minute. We've got 2 red ones here, and then we've got 2 yellow ones to the left and right of the middle there. So effectively a Y. If I turn it up the other way, you can see what I mean. And they correspond to the 2 red ones, the leg of the Y, basically face back towards the back of the car, and the 2 yellow ones are the 2 front ones, basically flat with the front edge of the car. So that's how it goes back in, and that's exactly the way it must be. The yellow ones are likely to be returns, and the red ones are likely to be high pressure. So one will be coming from the pump into the filter, then going off to the common rail injection system, and then the other 2 are likely to be returns back to tank, and that's why they're yellow. They'll be less high pressure. It's probably still pressurized, but not as high as they would be if on the red side. So we get the old clips off. They are the quick release clips, and then we'll get the new one on. There's a little reinforcing clamp actually. Take that off first, because that will help. Gets in the way otherwise. And each side we've got on these 2 low pressure hoses, there's 2 little square, can you see there, two little square blocks, one each side, and you push those in, and then basically pull the whole pipe off the top. There's a flange, as you can see, on the pipe on the filter, but there's nothing else sealing it other than the O-ring. So that's them two out the way, and then we got similar on this one here, this one in the middle. Out that comes. And then we've got, I think, another one which is not the same, it's just one side. You push that in and up she comes. And there we've got diesel coming out everywhere. Now lift it out, canister out of its cradle by the look of it, and underneath there is the quick release plug, and that's basically the agglomerator switch that monitors any muck and dirt that's inside it. And we're going to unscrew that and screw it into the new one. I'm just going to empty the diesel that's in here. Now on the filter that you get, all you've got is a drain plug, a white drain plug, which you would drain out and let any sediment would fall out the bottom, if you can get to it, which of course you can't because it's right underneath, so that's not much use. But of course this fits lots of other cars, I should imagine. But of course we need to screw in the agglomerator switch into where this drain plug goes. Now I've already filled this with diesel, so this has got clean diesel in it, because that makes it easier to bleed when it comes through, and they're self-bleeding as far as I can tell. So I can turn it upside down, basically undo the drain plug and screw in the switch, and then the pump hasn't got to work massively hard to fill up the filter before it starts. Give that a wipe over. Now the pump is brim full. Find the plug, which has now fell down the bottom of the engine there. Here we go, found it. It's all nice and clean and tidy. It goes on one way. Clip it back in, and then we'll put it back in its canister holder. And all of these pipes face downwards, so the chances of any dirt getting in them while it's like this is slim. But be aware that you might do that if you're not careful. I'm just going to put the bolt in as well, just to give it half a chance of gripping. But I'm not going to tighten it up fully yet, because I might have to manipulate the canister just to get the pipes on. There we go. Right, now this is the point where you need to make sure you don't get any dirt in. So take each one off at a time. That's number one. And we're going to just double check. Yep. Push it in till it clicks in. Because they're molded pipes, they go back. If you've got the filtering in the right place, they go back in the proper place. And they just push in and clip down. And they should just line up with where they need to be. That's 1, 3, 4, and we're in. I've got a little bit of spillage, so I'll give that a bit of a wipe around. Right, there's no pressure behind them now, so they're a little bit loose, but they're all, make sure they're all pushed in, which they are, and the job's done. Right, we'll just do up the canister holder. It's a little drip, but I think that's just residual stuff. That's nice and tight. Put the clip back on that was holding the two side ones. That's that front one there, or the front right, and then the back one. They clip together. That little U-clip, banana-shaped clip, goes in there, and then we're good to go. Right, let's see if we have any issues. Right, here goes nothing. As easy as that. That's the easiest fuel filter I've ever changed. So I'll take it all back, Jaguar. Your air filter box is crap. Your fuel filter, absolute piece of cake. Swings and roundabouts, that's the mechanicking game. We'll just double check there's no leaks, which there isn't. There'll be quite a lot of pressure in that filter, which is why it's a metal canister, and nothing's spurting out anywhere. There's no drips, not even a week. Happy days with that one. Fantastic. And incidentally, even though I've been messing around with the airflow mass sensors, we haven't got any fault codes, so I haven't disturbed any kind of wiring, and we're all happy on that side of things, so I'm happy. And the engine is a runner. We've got plenty of oil, we've got a new air filter. Maybe it'll go another 10 horsepower quicker with the air filter now completely unblocked. And we've got a new fuel filter. Happy days. Right, the only other thing I want to do is the pollen filter. Now, pollen filter is in a right-hand drive car, at least. It's on the passenger footwell, or in the passenger footwell on the left-hand side. Left-hand drive cars, presumably it's on the right-hand side, and you've got these 3 clips which basically just pull out 1, 2, 3, and then we just got to pull down the cover out the way. There it goes, and I'm led to believe there she is. Don't know if you can see up there, guys, but that is your canister for your pollen filter. So you pull down the cover, just move it out the way. There's my that's my cable for my dash cam, and then we've got 2 clips. Basically, I think there we go, one at each end, and the whole thing pops down, works its way in there. Now, given the state of the air cleaner, let's turn it over and see what's on the other side. Now, there's a little bit of dirt, but not too bad. It'll only going one way. It came out of that way, and you've got to take note of the airflow. So let's have a look, see where it's written. So airflow is, it came in that way. So airflow is effectively, because it's going straight up, it's going straight up into the dash, your airflow is coming from the front. So if you see on there, it's written airflow going that way, from that direction to that direction. That's how the new one's got to go in. So the airflow is coming from the front of the engine, or from the front of the car, which you'd expect, of course, but you never can tell sometimes these days. But it's coming from the front of the car, and it's coming through the pollen filter and into the cabin. So we'll get the new filter in, put it up, and then that's job done. Now you just clip it into the little holder. Now what's come out is a genuine Jaguar one. What's going in is a Marla. All the filters I'm using are Marla filters. They're pretty good quality. I'm pretty happy with those. And then that's it done. And all we've got to do now is just put up the footwell panel and clip it all back into place. Right, get the clips in quick before they fall out. Got to find the holes, of course. It's in there somewhere, I'm sure. There's a joke about that, but I'm not going to do that one. I'll tell you something. Guess what? What a pain. What an absolute mega pain. Another one. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, it's got to go around that loom, that's why. Oh, God's sake. Mad. Oh, save me, somebody. There we go, we're in. Oh. Oh geez. That just clips in its little rubber clips. And the last thing to do is fight with the goodness sake, come on, fight with the oil cap. I like to have it the right way around. It would annoy me if it was upside down. And there we go, that's all done. Right, pollen filter done, fill filter done, air filter, my god, done. I know what to do next time. Oil filter done, oil changed, done. What's inside the coolant? Just let that come off a little tiny bit. I've got no low coolant level, but I am, no warning light I should say, but I do need a bit of coolant in there. It's a bit low. Now I haven't got any pink antifreeze at the minute, so I'm going to have to get some of that and put that in before that comes back, before too long. Right, so that's something that needs to be done. Make sure when you do this it goes down so it's nice and clicky. Power steering, level looks good, there's no dipstick on it. It's just a case of click it down, job done. Brake fluid was changed last summer, so I know that's good, because I had a new caliper and they changed all the fluid and we're good in there. Don't know if you can see the level, but that's all happening. I've got no level warning light on either, so I know that's good. Happy days on that side of things. Click that back in, and that is pretty much it. I reckon we're good to go, good to do. Happy days. Right, okay, we're going to try and reset the service light with the manual method. First of all, now there's a couple of YouTube videos on this, and on my code reader it actually gives the process for doing exactly that. Now the idea is that you can use the buttons on the trip and the ignition button and the fog button to be able to reset the service light without an OBD reader or a code reader. Now what you have to do is in 3 seconds you have to press all 3 buttons in series or in sequence, and then press and hold finally the fog button until service reset comes up. But the problem is you've got to do it within 3 seconds. So if you're not quick enough and 3 seconds goes by quite quickly when you're pressing buttons, then you miss your boat and you have to start all over again. So what I'm going to do is, what it says to do is it says to hold down the fog button, and that is on the right hand side near the door, the driver's door. Hold that down, you cycle the on off, you let go of the fog and you touch the trip and hold down the trip and the fog together. Now I've tried this about 4 times and it has not worked. So let's try this again. It should actually tell you on the dashboard that it's in service reset mode, and I've yet to make it do it. So whether I'm not quick enough on the buttons, I'm not really sure. I'll give it another go just to see what happens. So everything's powered down. Press and hold the fog. Switch on the car. Release the fog. Hold the trip. And we've got it. Resetting service mode. And you press and hold the trip and the fog together, both at the same time, until the whole thing service mode reset, and we're off and running. I'll just turn the car off, turn it back on. She's good to go. That's it, service mode reset, job done. So that is all pretty much based on time. You've got to do it very quickly. Hold fog button, switch on car, release both, touch the trip, touch the fog button and hold down together, and for about 10 to 15 seconds it should come up with the instruction on the dash, resetting mode, and eventually it will say service mode reset and the job is done. Simple as that. You don't actually need a code reader.
And there you have it, XF service done. Is it worth doing? Well, if you've got the time, probably yes. It really doesn't pay to do it yourself if you haven't got the tools, the facilities or the know-how. It's taken me, what, 2-3 hours to do the job, obviously filming it as well. So yeah, it's a morning or an afternoon and happy days. Having said that, I haven't checked the rest of the car over. I've only done the fluids and the filters. So, you know, it's if I was checking the suspension and the brakes and all of that, which if it was on a ramp we would do it. I'm going to do it anyway, but I'm not doing that today. Yeah, that would be all included in the service, of course. But of course, that's then when the dealers actually make their money, because then they find, oh, sir, you need something on here, and you need to have new brakes, and oh, when we do the brakes, you better have new discs, and they basically take you up the garden path and then charge you the earth. So overall, for somebody that knows what they're looking at and somebody knows what they're doing, absolutely DIY is the way to go. If you're so inclined. If, like me with this car, up to this point I've needed to make sure that I had the car back and it was fixed and done and it wasn't my problem, then yeah, you might want to take it to a dealer, because then it's their problem, or maybe a specialist, perhaps not a dealer, because they'll charge you way too much labour anyway, and parts as well, just ridiculous prices. But yeah, if you've got the time, you've got the know-how, you've got the tools and facilities, buy the parts, get the job done and do it yourself. I hope this has helped you. I hope this has sort of given you a snapshot of how this actually works and the best way to do things. My way, I've done it my way, of course. Remember, there's more than one way to do a job, but certainly that air filter box was an absolute pain in the arse. So you know now how to get that off quickly and easily. Fuel filter, piece of cake. Pollen filter, pretty good. Oil filter, pretty good. And filling it with oil and draining it with oil, pretty good. And I'd always drain it. If you like what you see and you want to follow along with our mechanical adventures, then put a subscription down on the channel. We've got the Ford Capri over there. We've got the Mini that's in the garage somewhere there. And put a like on. If you'd like to comment, then please do so. Any comments gratefully received, good, bad or otherwise, don't mind. I hope this video has helped you if you've got an XF and you're thinking about servicing it yourself. Till the next one, take care and bye for now.